My aunt secretly stole my inheritance to fund her son's education. But when he failed, she came begging for forgiveness. I took her to court instead. I'm 28M, and I never thought I'd end up suing a family member, but here we are. It all started when I was 25, waiting for my inheritance from my grandparents. They had passed a few years back, leaving behind a modest estate. My dad passed away when I was younger, so they made sure to leave a chunk of it for me to help me get on my feet once I hit 25. Nothing huge, but enough to give me a real boost in life. But when the day came, nothing happened. My aunt, who was the executor of the will, kept stalling. "Oh, the paperwork is complicated," she'd say, or, "The estate is still being processed, just give it time." At first, I believed her. I had no reason not to. She was family, after all, and I wasn't expecting any foul play. But as the months went by, her excuses got thinner, and it became clear something was up. The kicker? My cousin, her son, who'd been coasting through life, failing out of one college after another, suddenly enrolled in a fancy private university. And I'm talking expensive. The kind of tuition that makes you wonder where the hell the money is coming from, especially when your aunt and uncle aren't exactly rolling in it. I didn't think much of it at the time. I wasn't putting two and two together just yet. But in hindsight, that should have been the first red flag. One day, during a family dinner at my aunt's house, I overheard her talking with her husband about how hard it had been to cover my cousin's tuition, but how they'd found a way. Something didn't sit right with me after that. I decided to look into the will myself. I wasn't trying to start anything, but I just wanted to make sure everything was above board. It wasn't. After a lot of back and forth with lawyers, I finally got a copy of the will. And wouldn't you know it, the money my grandparents left me was supposed to be in my hands 2 years ago. My aunt had been lying to me for months. When I confronted her, I expected some kind of explanation, maybe even an apology. But no, what I got was straight-up entitlement. "Look, you've always been the smart, resourceful one," she said, not even trying to deny what she'd done. "Your cousin needed help. He's been struggling for so long, and we thought you wouldn't mind." "You thought I wouldn't mind?" I snapped. "That's my inheritance, Aunt. It's not yours to give away." "Well, technically, I'm the executor, so I had the discretion to do what was best for the family," she said smugly. I could feel my blood boiling. "That's not how it works. You can't just take my money because you think your son needs it more. That's theft." "It's not theft if it's for family," she shot back. "Besides, it's not like you're hurting for money. You have a job. He needed a chance to get his life together." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She acted like it was no big deal that she'd stolen from me, like I was the unreasonable one for being upset about it. At that point, I knew talking to her was pointless. I told her to get the money back to me immediately, or I'd take legal action. "You wouldn't do that," she said, crossing her arms. "We're family." "Watch me," I said, and walked out. The next day, I filed a lawsuit for embezzlement and breach of fiduciary duty. It felt extreme, but what choice did I have? She clearly wasn't going to give the money back voluntarily. The minute I filed, all hell broke loose. I started getting calls from family members, people who hadn't spoken to me in years, telling me I was tearing the family apart. They didn't care about what my aunt had done. They just wanted to keep the peace. "You're really going to sue your own aunt over some money?" one cousin asked incredulously. "It's not just some money," I replied. "It's my inheritance. She stole it to fund her son's education." "She was just trying to help her kid," they said, like that somehow made it okay. The legal battle was ugly. My aunt hired a lawyer and tried to paint me as some greedy, selfish asshole who didn't care about family. Meanwhile, she continued to claim that my grandparents had always intended for my cousin to get a chunk of my inheritance, but just hadn't updated the will. Of course, there was zero evidence to back that up, and the court saw right through it. It didn't help that her son, my cousin, wasn't exactly the golden child she made him out to be. He'd been in and out of schools, failed at more things than I could count, and now, after burning through my inheritance, he still wasn't any closer to getting his life together. The private university she'd sent him to? He flunked out of that one too. All that money, all that betrayal, for nothing. A few months into the lawsuit, my aunt tried to settle. She called me, sounding all remorseful. Let's just put this behind us, she said. We're family. We can't let money destroy that. You destroyed it the minute you decided to steal from me, I replied. I didn't steal, she insisted. I was just trying to help. You don't understand the pressure I was under. My son. Your son is not my responsibility, I cut her off. And neither is your bad decision-making. I'm done talking about this. We'll settle it in court. When it finally went to trial, the judge didn't take long to see what was going on. My aunt tried to make it about her son's future, about how she was just trying to do what was best for the family, but none of it held up. The facts were clear. She'd stolen my inheritance and used it to pay for her son's failed education. The court ruled in my favor, ordering her to repay the full amount plus legal fees. It was a win, but it didn't feel like one. I got the money back, sure, but my relationship with my aunt, and pretty much the rest of my family, was completely wrecked. My aunt refused to speak to me after that, telling anyone who would listen that I was a cold, heartless bastard who cared more about money than family. A lot of my relatives took her side, saying I should have been more understanding, that I should have forgiven her. But what they didn't get was that this wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that she stole from me, then acted like I was the bad guy for not just rolling over and accepting it. I could have forgiven her if she'd come to me first, asked for help, explained the situation. But she didn't. She went behind my back, took what wasn't hers, and lied to me for months. How do you forgive that? After the ruling, I didn't hear from her for a while. But then, about 6 months later, she showed up at my door. I hadn't seen her in person since the trial, and she looked rough, like life had kicked the crap out of her. We need to talk, she said, her voice shaky. I didn't want to let her in, but part of me was curious, so I stepped aside and let her sit on my couch. I'm sorry, she started, her eyes welling up with tears. I know I messed up. I know I should have handled things differently, but I was desperate. My son, he needed a chance. I just stared at her. And you thought stealing from me was the way to do that? She nodded, tears streaming down her face now. I didn't think it through. I don't know. I thought you'd understand. We're family. Yeah, we were, I said coldly. But you made sure that didn't matter when you decided to steal from me. I don't know what to do anymore. She sobbed. He failed again. We're broke. I don't know how to fix this. I stood there, emotionless. That's not my problem, Aunt. You made your bed. Please, she begged. Can't we just move past this? I'll pay you back. It might take time, but I'll make it right. Just don't hate me. We're all we have. I shook my head. No, we're not all we have. You had a choice, and you chose to screw me over. Now you're dealing with the consequences. I don't owe you anything. She left, sobbing, and that was the last time I saw her. Since then, I've heard through the grapevine that her son's still struggling, and she's still trying to dig herself out of the financial hole she put herself in. As for me, I'm doing fine. It wasn't easy, but I've moved on. My family's still a mess, but honestly, I don't care. You can't choose your family, but you can choose how you let them treat you. And I chose not to let them take advantage of me. If you stuck around for this wild ride of family drama, betrayal, and karma, you might as well subscribe.